All right, we are live. I did not think this was going to happen, but my guy came through. So the quest continues to do a video collaboration for every game on the Cleveland Browns schedule. It is actual game day. This is the first time I've ever done this on the day of the game. So I appreciate you for that. But today, the Browns are looking for a monumental win in Washington. See what I did there?
I
Um,
heard.
yeah, as they take on the Washington Commanders. And to help me preview this game, I got Corey from On the Warpath with me. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good, Josh. Appreciate you having me on here. Looking forward to chatting up with you, and I'm looking forward to 1 o'clock later today when we take on the Cleveland Browns, and hopefully we can move to 4-1 on the season. I know y'all. You said it's a monumental task, but y'all got some good players out there on the other side of the ball.
I mean, I was trying to make a little bit of a pun there because we're in
Yeah.
Washington. You got the Washington Monument. You got the Thomas Jefferson Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, or whatever you call it. So I was trying to be a little bit punny there. Um, But in the same regard, it is a bit monumental because you guys just put up what 42 points last week in the desert against Arizona. Jaden Daniels is playing ridiculously well. How surprised are you by this start for the Commanders?
Pleasantly surprised. I thought that if you could go like 2-2, even possibly 1-3, and look competitive, that would be a sign of progress. But they blew that expectation out of the water. Jaden is, as advertised and more. And I was kind of hesitant about him early on, and there's going to be a lot of people in our fan base who are like, "Well, I was all on Jaden. I was all on Jaden Daniels." They're lying to you. There are a lot of people who are excited for him, but I don't think anybody could have predicted the start and with precision how he's been operating this offense. And it's a collaboration led by Cliff Kingsbury. I know you've got Brian Johnson, who's the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia last year. You also bring in Anthony Lynn to help work in that offensive room. David Blau, who was a quarterback in Detroit, it was a decent backup for him a few years ago. And then Tavita Pritchard, who was here last year as a holdover and worked with Davis Mills at Stanford when he was at Stanford. So, Stanford had some decent offense under David Shaw. So he's worked with them. So it's a good collaborative effort. And this offense, the offensive line, the running back room, and even the wide receivers who looked underrated have all like just meshed together perfectly to help Jaden Daniels there. I think, we always get lost because the quarterback is the leader, but there are a lot of key cogs that have been working well. Sam Howell was sacked 60 times last year. Jaden Daniels isn't getting sacked at that rate and probably won't even hit that rate this year, thanks to that offensive line and Bobby Johnson's tutelage. So, I mean, yeah, it's been surprising, bro. It has been surprising, pleasantly surprised. But yeah, I'm loving it so far.
Hey, I thought we'd be the team that was 3-1 coming into this matchup because I looked at our schedule and I saw Dallas, I saw Jacksonville, I saw the Giants, and I saw the Raiders. I'm like, okay, I see at least 3 winnable games in there against Jacksonville, the Giants, and the Raiders. Yeah, not how it's gone at all. Um, but our offense looks like crap. Our defense has not lived up to what it was last year. Yeah, it's not going well for us. We did get Nick Chubb back at practice this week. Thankfully, he's not playing in this game. No disrespect to you guys, but I did not want him stepping out onto that field in Washington because, no offense, but your stadium is horrible. I
Oh yeah,
think
yeah, I agree.
most Commanders fans feel that way. Um, and it's still weird for me that it went from FedEx Field to Northwest Stadium or
Hmm.
whatever. But you got to be happy with Dan Snyder gone because I know a lot of Washington fans were like, please get him out of here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean it was a very no love lost there. I mean you had this team. I'm 33, and so you got to think about it. Ever since I was like 8 or 9, he's been the owner, and I mean, from a kid that was in elementary school to now having my own child, it's just like, wow, that's a lot of time lost and a lot of reality denied. Because this team it wasn't even competitive a lot of season. I mean, you look at it last year. It was the first year of Josh Harris and them, but the remnants of what was last 4-13. There were times where you could scratch the playoffs, but I think since when Dan was the owner, they said we hit rock bottom, and I said rock bottom. We don't even know what rock bottom is because we keep on redefining it. We look at 2009, Jim Zorn's last year. They were 4-12 or 3-13 that year. I think it was 4-12. And then we said, okay, yeah, we hit rock bottom. Then 2019 comes around, 3-13, and then we hit last year, and then it's rock bottom again. So I was like, we don't even know what rock bottom is here. We just keep on finding ways to redefine it, and now I think there's a lot of hope because Josh Harris is he's a professional sports owner. He owns the 76ers. He owns the New Jersey Devils. He brings in competent people. You look at Adam Peters. You look at Dan Quinn, who is a man who is comfortable being in his own skin. He doesn't lecture everybody on what's going wrong. He just gives you a straight up answer. So it's beautiful, man. And I'm like, this is what it's like to be functional. I know it's just season 1 1/4 right now, right? We're just a quarter through the NFL season, kind of after this week. So, but it's positive, and I'm excited, man. We've got legitimate hope and aspirations, and it's all because Dan Snyder's gone.
Yeah, I wish I could feel the same way with the Haslams as our owners. I was actually down in Columbus yesterday at the Columbus Crew game, and I'm like, why can't the Haslams do the same thing with the Browns that they're doing with the Columbus Crew? Like, the Crew have won 2 MLS Cups, I think, since they've taken over in 2023 and 2020, and it was a great atmosphere at the Crew Stadium last night. Like, fans are into the game. And I'm like, why can't the Haslams do the same thing here in Cleveland? I mean, you look at it, they go all in on this trade for Deshaun Watson, which has completely backfired on us. I'm not even going to deny that one. Holy crap. Houston won that trade with us in a landslide. Um, I think they were the owners when we drafted Johnny Manziel, if I'm not mistaken. We've gone 0-16, gone through multiple head coaches, multiple starting quarterbacks. And I'm just like, why can't we be like the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Baltimore Ravens or some of these other teams where it's like, they have stable ownership up top. They know what they're doing in terms of their head coach. They
Hmm.
know what they're doing in terms of their quarterbacks. Why can't we be like that? Like, and kind of what I'm talking about in Washington, but like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's exhausting, right? And you got loyalties to a team, and especially when you're from the area, it's like why, and you see it every day, and it's like okay. We Washington goes through this with Ted Leonsis, who owns the Wizards and the Capitals, right? And the Capitals 6 years from a Stanley Cup playoff, and then the Wizards haven't been functional in a long time, and they've basically been stripped down to the studs, and they just can't figure it out. So I mean, I don't know what it is, if they hire the right people, or is one squad more important than the other squad. These are so many questions. Like, why can't you get it right? Um, on one level, you're getting it right, like you said, with the Columbus Crew, but why can't you get it right with the Browns? So I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but
Right.
it's it's an enigma for sure.
Right. But you look at this matchup, the Browns have won the last two games against the Commanders, with the last one coming in Washington. But, I mean, I don't think there's a lot you can take from the last matchup coming into this matchup. Sure, Deshaun Watson was our starting quarterback, but I think Carson Wentz was your starting quarterback the last time we played you in
Hmm.
Washington. So I'm just like, well, there's a big change there. But I look at your offense. I know
Hmm.
you've got Jaden Daniels. I know you have Terry McLaurin. I know you have Brian Robinson. Who are some of your other skill position players? Because, like I said, the only ones I can really think of are Brian Robinson and Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I mean Zach Ertz, who was in Philadelphia for a long time, he's a starting tight end. Um, you look, we've got some new rookies there. Ben Sinnott, who's a draft pick out of Kansas State, he's trying to make his way into like this a bigger role there. Luke McCaffrey, who if you know that name, Christian McCaffrey's brother, and McCaffrey's son. Um, he was our he was a pick out of Rice. I think he was the last pick for us on day two. Yeah, that's right. So he's trying to be featured there. And you look at the wide receiver room, Noah Brown, which Noah Brown actually, I think you remember Noah Brown, don't you? Because didn't he was a big cog when y'all played Houston last year, right? Is that right?
I
Did y'all play?
think so.
Yeah. So Noah Brown, but he's out today. So that means you're gonna probably rely on a lot of Olamide Zaccheaus. You'll see maybe De'Ami Brown, who's been a huge disappointment since he was drafted out of North Carolina in 21. And then Bryson Tremaine is going to be pulled up from the practice squad because of Noah Brown being out. So we'll see. Austin Eckler is
The
our
former
number two back.
Chargers running
Yep.
back.
And he's played well. He was in concussion protocol after the Cincinnati game, but he cleared it today. Cleared it on Friday, I believe. So he's going to play. So those are really like your skill guys that you're kind of looking for to probably make some plays. And outside of Brian Robinson, Terry McLaurin, it's going to probably be which other guys can step up there, and those will probably be the guys that I'm looking at along the way to kind of step up.
Yeah, like I'm looking at last week against Arizona when you won 42-14.
Hmm.
Jaden Daniels went for 233 yards, no sacks, one
Right.
touchdown, one interception, not bad. And then you had McNichols, your
Yep.
second running back. He had 6 carries for 65 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, but you said Austin Eckler is probably going to be back. So does that mean
Yeah.
McNichols gets less carries?
Most likely, it'll probably be more or less. It'll be more or less Austin Eckler getting those carries. But he's good in pass protection. McNichols is. He was actually on that pass play against Cincinnati where Jaden found Terry in the end zone. He launched a key block on one of their linebackers to actually give Jaden a little bit more time before he got hit to get the ball out. So you'll probably see him, but you won't see him as Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson. Now Brian Robinson was on the injury report now, so that could possibly mean you might still see more of McNichols just because of that.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, we haven't done well against the run this season. I mean, I go back and look at the Raiders game. They ran, what was it? Yeah, they ran for 152 yards on 29 attempts, and they averaged 5.2 yards per rush.
Ooh.
So I look at Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler and McNichols. If he gets any carries, I'm like, they should have a party today. Whereas us, we ran for 92 yards on 22 attempts and averaged 4.2 yards. That was our whole identity last season, was running the football just
Mhm.
down your throat. Even when we lost Nick Chubb um, in the Steelers game, our identity was still to run the football constantly. And yeah, I like our weapons of Amari Cooper, Jerry Judy, Elijah Moore. We're getting David Njoku back today. But
Oh no. We got to beware then.
yeah, but I'm like, are they actually going to get the football? Because, like, Deshaun just has this tendency to, like, just go, oh, I can't get my first read. I'm just going to take off. I don't know if you've seen that at all this season, but it's like he might have an open guy in the middle and he just holds onto the ball and runs. I'm like, what are you doing? it
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I saw a lot of that from Jaden Daniels in that first game. But he's kind of stepped it up a little bit, I guess, in his film study and everything like that, and his meeting with the coaches. But yeah, I mean, if you don't trust what you're seeing as a quarterback, you are going to have happy feet and get out there. So, that's unfortunate for Deshaun. But I remember in 2022, that was really like his first game coming back was against us. Um, and he played. I thought he played well. I mean, he didn't have the best numbers, but he did enough for you all to win. So, I mean, that could possibly be. I mean, that could be something that concerns us today. Is that he's been dogged in the media, kind of like Daniel Jones was a couple weeks ago, and and this could be his coming out party because I don't think he's not talentless, right? He's just I think he's more or less going through a rut right now. So and everything off the field that's going on with Deshaun Jackson, but Deshaun Watson, that can uh mount up on you. So, I think that has a lot to do with it too.
yeah. I I mean, our offensive line hasn't played well, which scares me because I know Washington usually has a strong defensive line. I know you don't have Chase Young anymore, but because you traded him to San Francisco and now he's with the Saints, I believe.
Hmm.
But I, you still have Deron Payne, don't you?
We've got Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and they haven't had the best season so far. I mean, they looked a little bit better against Arizona, so they're still looking to get right and get look for a get right game because this defense has been atrocious outside of playing Arizona. They get gashed, they take bad angles on tackles, and we have a first time off defensive coordinator in Joe Witt Jr., which I know Dan Quinn is the defensive mastermind, but he is letting Joe Witt kind of work through things. And
Wait,
Joe
so
Witt,
you're telling me that
mm-hmm.
you're telling me that Joe Witt, your defensive coordinator, is the one actually calling the
Yeah,
defensive plays?
yes, mm-hmm.
What a concept! The head coach isn't the one doing the play calling. Hey, Kevin Stefanski, take notice.
Yeah. Hey, might be a little bit easier when when you're an offensive guy, right? But yeah, he's got Joe Witt doing all that, and maybe he might make his recommendations throughout the game, but he gives Joe Witt from the booth up top to kind of you know have his way with that. So um, yeah, it's I think it's a work in progress. I didn't think the defense would be this big of a work in progress, but um, it is what it is. And we've got some good players on the defense. I think we flipped over like on our starters. I think we flipped more than 50% of our starters this year. I think we have like 6 to 7 new starters on defense, which includes Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner. Jeremy Chin came over from Carolina. Um, so we've got those guys. Our secondaries kind of remain the same though. We bring in Emmanuel Forbes, Benjamin St. Juice has been here for a while, um, and we our bookends Dorrance Armstrong and Cleveland Farrell had been starting, but they've kind of replaced him because he's been injured the last couple of weeks, and I don't think he's going to go today. But he was the leading sacker up until last week, and Dorrance Armstrong had 2, but
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a cohesion thing, man. It's still a cohesion thing. So, I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much more Forbes is going to play for you guys because I know, like, you guys are trying to get rid of some of the players that Ron Rivera had.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
and Forbes is not a fan favorite at all. I will be honest with you, and I'm more of a I try to preach patience with players, even if you don't like them or where they came from. I'm just like, you gotta give them a chance. Um, and he has tested my patience on a lot of things. So, hopefully he can get it right with guys that that where we saw what Dallas did with their secondary. I mean, they made Deron Bland a household name under Dan Quinn and company. So maybe they can do it with Emmanuel Forbes. We'll see.
Right. I mean, I look at our secondary. I like what we have with Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Grant Delpit, Juan Thornhill, Martin Emerson, but it's like such hit and miss with some of these guys.
Mhm.
Like Malik Neighbors had a huge day against Martin Emerson a couple weeks ago, scored 2 touchdowns. We held the Raiders for the most part in check last week. They only gave up 20 points, but we still lost. But it's really our run defense where we're getting gashed. But my problem with our secondary is I don't know if they can stay healthy constantly because Grant Delpit has had injury
Mhm.
problems. Greg Newsome has had injury problems. Denzel Ward has had injury problems. So it's just like I don't. There's some weeks where I'm like, I don't know what version of our defense we're gonna get, and Myles Garrett has not really played well this season. I know he's dealing with some injuries, but still. Zadarius Smith, I haven't really heard his name a lot on the broadcast. Like, oh, Zadarius Smith made a great play sacking the quarterback or whatever.
Mhm.
And I look at the rest of our defensive line, and it's almost like if Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith aren't playing well, then the rest of the defensive line isn't playing well.
Whew. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, cohesion, bro. It is a cohesive it's a cohesion thing sometimes. And I find that shocking where I think you've got one of the best defensive minds out there in Jim Schwartz too, and they just can't figure it out.
No. I mean, really, we should be like I said earlier, we should be at least 2-2, if not 3-1 coming into
Mhm.
this game. But I mean, the win against Jacksonville is not that impressive considering how Jacksonville has looked so far this season.
Right.
I mean, for the most part, we held Dallas in check. It was just some
They
defense.
Yeah, they have a transformer at kicker. So I saw Brandon Aubrey was teeing off on y'all on that game. I was just like, come on now, fellas, we got to see this a little. I need y'all to beat Dallas. So,
Yeah.
but
I mean, you're 1-0, I think, against the AFC North, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
Whereas we're 0-2 against the NFC East. So, and you got Baltimore next week in a game that should have been flexed into Sunday Night Football, but instead, the schedule makers want us to watch Joe Burrow against Daniel Jones.
yeah.
So,
CBS protected that game. So I'm like, okay, all right, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't mean it doesn't make for a late night for me, so that's good. Yeah.
yeah, you'll take it.
Yeah.
I mean, this quarterback matchup, I wish I could say, oh, I'm so excited for it. But given what I've seen from Deshaun Watson, no. I am excited to watch Jaden Daniels, though. Because he won the Heisman Trophy last year at
Mhm.
LSU. I didn't think he was going to. I thought it was going to be either Bo Nix or Michael Penix. That's no disrespect to Jaden by any means, but I I thought it was going to be Michael Penix because he got Washington into the college football playoff. He had 2 big wins against Oregon. Um, so that was my thinking.
Mhm.
But I mean, Jaden so far is running away with Rookie of the Year. I mean, I know I didn't have Washington as the front runners in the NFC East. I thought it would be Philadelphia, and here you guys are. kind of coming out of nowhere, honestly, at 3-1. You're probably going to go to 4-1 today, if I had to guess. You're favored by 3, which I thought you would be favored by at least a touchdown, given that you put up 42 last week in Arizona, and we only put up 16. So, yeah. But
Mhm.
nonetheless, like, I can't wait to watch. Even though I'm gonna be rooting for the Browns, obviously, I can't wait to watch Jaden like for myself.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I kind of I've taken the approach of just living in the moment, right? I'm not looking at because it's just October, right? I mean, a lot of crazy stuff can happen within a span of 2 weeks. If we lose this game, you go to 3-2. You play Baltimore. There's a good chance you're probably gonna lose that game. So you're at 3-3. So that goodwill that you build up could disappear, and then that sets up a matchup where you get ready for Carolina and Chicago, two winnable games, right? But who says that if you're looking ahead, right? So my thing is the Cleveland Browns right now. It's been the Cleveland Browns since after we beat Arizona. I ain't worried about Baltimore. I'm not worried about Baltimore until after this game, till about 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, because right now it's Cleveland, it's Cleveland, it's Cleveland. And I think this is what this team is about. It's just focusing on what's in front of you. I mean, we see in college football, we saw last night a lot of these upsets, teams probably looking ahead to bigger opponents, and it kind of they fell flat on their face. So I mean, if Philadelphia could still win the division. Dallas could win the division. I mean, I mean, the Giants probably aren't going to do it, but they're going to
No.
start a new quarterback in Drew Lock. So, that might give them a little invigoration. So, we'll see. We'll see.
Would you say right now that you have the best quarterback in the division with Jaden Daniels through 4 weeks?
We have the best performing quarterback right now.
Okay.
We have the best performing quarterback right now. If you want to say he's the best, if somebody wants to call him the best quarterback in the division right now, okay. But like I said, I live right now, right here, today, and he is stat wise and record wise, he is the better performing quarterback in the division.
Okay. So I've
Very
heard a
political answer. Very political answer.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've heard a lot of comparisons and a lot of concerns because we all know what happened the last time Washington drafted a very mobile quarterback with
hmm
the number 2 overall pick back in what was that 2012?
12. Mhm.
Like RG3, he sustained multiple injuries throughout his career with Washington when they had their old name, which I'm respectfully choosing not to say.
Mhm.
But I've heard some people comparing Jaden to RG3. It just in that aspect that Jaden has taken a lot of big hits in college, and he's taken some big hits in since he's come into the NFL. So,
Mhm.
how do you feel about those comparisons between him and RG3? Like, is it too early to be making those comparisons? Like, do you feel like they're valid? I'm
I mean,
curious.
there's parallels because mobile quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner. Um, I think what Jaden is, I think Jaden is more about ball than RG3 was. RG3 was about building a brand. I just don't get that from Jaden. Is that I think he's a little bit more grounded in that respect. So, um, I think and he played a little bit longer as a starter and stuff. When he was at Arizona State, and he's been at that level where they upset Oregon, right? And then he comes to the big time in the SEC. They upset Alabama. I think wasn't it at Alabama back in 2022.
I
Um,
think that game was at LSU.
it was at LSU, but they still upset Bama
Right.
in that situation. So I I mean, I get it. People want to compare players to different players. I always say this, right? You look at the Giants of the late '80s and '90s, right? Early '90s, and they had Bill Parcells on that coaching. He was the head coach, right? And you think Bill Parcells is just this great coach. Who's going to be the next Bill Parcells? Who's going to be the He had he had a defensive coordinator on that team named Bill Belichick. At that point, did anybody really think that Bill Belichick was going to be a better head coach than than Bill Parcells? No, and he's probably the greatest coach of all time. And I say that is that Bill Belichick is the best version of Bill Belichick. Jaden Daniels needs to be the best version of Jaden Daniels. I hate comparisons. I mean, I know why we do them, but I'm like, when people say, he's like RG3, yeah, okay. No, he's Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels does stuff that RG3 couldn't do, and RG3 did stuff that Jaden couldn't do. So that probably won't do. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's a fair comparison. Outside of parallels, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's just he's got to go out here and play his game. And RG3 wasn't 3-1 after 4 games. I think he was actually like 2-2, maybe 1-3. I know that he was 1-2 after 3 games, and which his third game was against the Cincinnati Bengals at FedEx Field. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And I'm not saying the comparisons between RG3 and Jaden Daniels are fair or foul.
Right.
But I've heard those same comparisons, and like, come on, Jaden Daniels just started his career, and I get it. Like, Daniels, he's a mobile quarterback, and he's taken some big hits, like I said, but he hasn't shown signs that he's gonna tear an ACL or anything. Then again, I don't know if you can really show signs that at some point you're gonna tear
Right.
an ACL. Maybe that's a bad way of saying it,
Right.
but you
Right. Yeah.
but you get kind of what I'm saying there.
Yes.
So it's like he's. I feel like he's had more of a tendency to slide and realize when the play is over, whereas RG3 was like, I need to keep going and get as many yards out of it as I can, and that's when he would tear a knee or
Whew.
something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the parallels are probably the comparison because I haven't felt this hopeful since RG3. And I always say like I don't know if you're an X Files fan, but I said I'm like Fox Mulder, and he has a poster in his office that says I want to believe. I want to believe. I really do. I want to believe. I want to believe this is our future. This is, happy times are ahead for us. And, I'm still in the back of my mind. It's like I know this feeling, and I know how quick it can be like that.
Yeah.
It can be gone. So,
You're like that Wolverine meme where Wolverine's
yeah, yeah,
laying
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
bed.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I mean, like this is like my Jean Grey, and somebody, and there's like the Cyclops is getting ready to come through and just like laser beam this season to crap. So yeah, I mean it is what it is, man.
Yeah. So I know you said you gotta get running shortly,
Yes,
so
sir.
we'll wrap things up here. Um, Washington's favored by 3 coming into this game, and I'll be real with you.
Uh-huh.
I'm not, even though like I'm a Browns fan and I built this channel on Browns content. If I don't think the Browns are gonna win a game, I'm not gonna pick them.
Uh-huh.
We've lost 2 straight against the Giants and the Raiders. I I I want Deshaun Watson on the bench. I want Jameis Winston starting.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. But trust me, I've been saying that for a while. I know Jameis is Mr. 30-30. He'll get you 30 touchdowns, but he'll also get you 30 interceptions. But I'm like, I look at what Deshaun Watson's doing. I'm like, come on, Jameis is probably better than this. I I mean, it's not surprising that we got rid of Joe Flacco because the Haslams are, I hate to say it, but the Haslams are scaredy cats.
Uh-huh.
In that they they knew how much Cleveland or the city of Cleveland got behind Joe Flacco, and they're like, they don't want Deshaun Watson going like this and looking over his shoulder.
Whoa, did
So,
I read that right? Is Miles Garrett, is he out today?
wait, okay, I got.
Whoa!
Okay, hold
Holy
on one
crap!
second. Gotta look this up now.
Stop it! Oh
Hold on.
man!
It says he missed practice, but I don't know if he's. I don't not seeing anything that he's out today.
Oh man! If he is happy,
If
happy,
he's
joy, joy. I will. I don't know. Oh my gosh.
tell us about the Washington offense and how our defense might get beaten up today. I mean, I suspect Brian Robinson's going to run it right down our throats. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington lines up with both Robinson and Austin Eckler in the backfield and have one on the left, one on the right.
That ain't gonna be that's possible, man. That's possible. Look, you're not gonna bait me. You're not gonna bait me on a Sunday. I'm not gonna you're not gonna bait me today. I just like I agree. I agree with whatever you said.
I
I'm not I'm not getting set up this quick to kick off
yeah,
time.
I'm not taking the bait even as a Browns fan. Because Miles Garrett, if he's able to play, he's going to. I can check the. I haven't seen anything on the Browns Twitter page that says he's inactive, so I
Yeah,
think he
so
is playing. But nonetheless, by the way, the Vikings are up 10-0 against the Jets right now in London.
that's the wow, that's a shocker right there.
Yep.
That's the Vikings all season. This whole season could possibly go 5-0. Ooh, Lord.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, so in terms of my score prediction, I wish I could pick the Browns. I wish I could be confident and say, yeah, the Browns are going to snap their 2-game losing streak. But Washington just put up 42 against Arizona on the road. This is a quick home game for you before you go back out on the road. You're going to want to play well in front of your home crowd. This is the second of 3 straight games on the road for us because we go to Philadelphia next week. Um, so,
Ooh.
and I don't trust our offense. So I got the Commanders winning this game. I'll say the Browns somehow keep it close. 23-17 Washington.
Okay. Um. Yeah. I mean, in Baltimore's pretty much like a home game because it's just really like 30 minutes up the road. So I mean, really, you got like 4 home games technically coming up for Washington. But yeah. I mean, I think that Washington. I think we got the ability to take advantage of some of those injuries that you all have. Thank goodness there's no Nick Chubb. And if Miles Garrett doesn't play, Lord have mercy. But I mean, you still got Denzel Ward. Is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, is he still playing?
I think so.
Yeah, so I mean, y'all still got some good players out there. So and not to take a team that's reeling lightly because we have no business taking teams like that lightly because of where we have been at over the last few years. So I don't take y'all lightly. I do think it's going to be a close game. I think hopefully our defense can get a couple of key stops. Our offense keeps us in the game. I say 31. Let's see, 31-28. Just so that means the Browns cover. So, or it's a wash. So, there you go. Because I mean, sometimes Vegas knows what they're talking about, and I think the public is probably hammering Washington in this one. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah. It's according to the depth chart, Miles Garrett is playing today, so we'll
He don't
see.
have to play. He don't have to play. He don't want to play. He doesn't have to play. I mean, that's good. I mean, this offensive line, and I mean the one thing about this offensive line, they played well, but they haven't really played against a top tier rusher. So
Right.
I mean, Myles Garrett it will be the best rusher that they've played. Now Tampa's got good rushers, but they're not on the elite level as Myles Garrett. So this is going to be a test for that offensive line for sure.
Yeah. So the over-under, according to the Browns Twitter, is 43.5. So I would take the under on that one.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I'm looking at our depth chart right now. Nick Chubb is out. Jack Conklin, questionable.
Good.
Michael Dunn, questionable. Myles Garrett was full in practice on Friday. Jordan Hicks is out. Naeem Hines is out. James Hudson is out. DeJuan Jones had full practice on Friday. Jerry Jeudy had full practice on Friday. Greg Newsome had full practice on Friday. It lists David Njoku as questionable, but last I saw, he's actually going to play. Agbo Alcancro was listed as full for Friday. Jeremiah Wusa-Koromoa, he's listed as full. Ethan Posick, limited practice. Zadarius Smith, limited practice. Pierre Strong, listed as questionable. Jedrick Wills, listed as questionable. Alex Wright is out. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Oh
I have
man.
no idea what our team's going to look like when we go out there, but yay. But I appreciate you coming on and
Yes,
doing
sir.
this with me quick in the morning and kind of saving my ass a little bit. um,
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. Anytime.
yeah, I'm sure you'll be live during the game. Don't worry, I'll be popping in
Yeah,
during
yeah,
your live
yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
I've sabotaged some of your live chats in the past.
Yeah, you've been
You
on.
let
Yeah, you've been on there a couple of times. I mean, and it's like I was telling. Oh gosh, I can't. I was on another Browns podcast earlier with Evan Brogdon, and I told him, I said, you guys are beating us, and I'm like, I don't know if I like this or not. I go on these shows, and and then I had a Giants guy that I know, and Big Blue in the Bronx, and I was like, you know. I've been on your channel a lot. Y'all keep on beating us. I finally had them on my channel this year, and they beat us. So I finally got on your channel. I think the last time you were on my channel. So hopefully the trend remains the same. But Josh, I appreciate you having me on here, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for helping me go 5 for 5. And you got Baltimore next. We got Philly next. But it's all about the Commanders and the Browns today from
We'll be rooting
Washington.
for each other next week.
Yes, for sure. But best of luck in today's game, and
Yes, sir.
let's see what happens.
That's right. Hail to the Commanders.